What's up, everyone? Tyler DeLuca back here for week 9 of the college football season. I got your top 3 games from this week. Let's get into it. Honestly, this week isn't the most stacked week that we have seen. So when I think about what's must see, what is prime television, we got to go back to Colorado. I'm ready to see how Colorado responds. They're playing at UCLA, number 23 in the nation. Both of these teams need stability in different ways. Obviously, if you missed it, Colorado blew a 29-0 lead to Stanford and lost 46-43 in double OT 2 weeks ago because they had a bye week in between now and then. That's bad. That's really bad. Obviously, Colorado, everything for Colorado at this point is upgrading from last season. But at the same time, that's a really, really bad loss. And both things can be true at the same time. So switching over to UCLA really quickly for their stability. They're coming off a huge win, 42-7 against Stanford. But they did it with a new quarterback at the helm. Ethan Garbers took over after Dante Moore. It was bad. It was really bad against Oregon State. 3 interceptions. Not great. Not great at all. They make the switch. They come out. But Chip Kelly won't announce a starting quarterback for this week. So that's their stability. They just got to figure out, hey, is Garbers the guy? Is he going to be the guy for the rest of this season? And he absolutely could be. But that's what they got to figure out. So it's stability in 2 different ways. 2 programs at completely different spots in their time. But both need to they're both shaky in different ways and to different extent. But for Colorado, this game is absolutely huge because they still have Oregon State on deck. They still have Utah later in the schedule. So if they're going to be bowl eligible, this game feels like one of the big wins that they need. Because you can't really expect them to beat those teams in my eyes. And UCLA is not a bad team either by any means. Obviously, they're ranked number 23 in the nation. So for this game, it feels like a must-win for Colorado. You have to bounce back from that. But the big thing to make that happen is what are you going to do to not hurt yourself? Because some of the turnovers that we saw, obviously the last pass of that game, Shedeur Sanders kind of just lofting it up there, kind of a panic pass at the end, which you can kind of excuse to a point. But the penalties that they had were inexcusable for the Buffaloes, and that comes down to coaching when you think of penalties. That comes down to coaching and making sure that your team is well disciplined, which I'm sure that they have heard so much about that in the time of that game to this game. So I'm excited to see how Colorado comes out. I hope that they come out punching. I want to see this team, personally, I want to see them become bowl eligible. That would be such a huge turnaround, and this game will be a huge one for it. I'm excited to see how both teams kind of figure out and stabilize the different problems that they have on their teams in this game. Survive and advance can become the story for different teams at different times, especially in the absolutely chaotic world that is college football. And last week, that was the case for Oklahoma, who hosted UCF in Norman, and they barely scraped by. Barely. 31-29, they win that game against UCF. But I was there. I was there in person. There was times where UCF really genuinely looked like they were going to win that game. But good teams survive and advance. And that's what Oklahoma did. They missed several kicks. They missed several field goals. They didn't commit a turnover. They didn't force a turnover, which is the first time that they've won a game under Brent Venables without doing that. So what now? They go to Kansas. They go to Kansas against an offense that is more than capable of putting up points. Obviously, they don't have Jalen Daniels at QB, but they can absolutely still make this work. They can absolutely come correct and scare Oklahoma once again. But I do think that Oklahoma has woken up. I think, obviously, you go and beat Texas in what is the biggest game every season for OU, Texas, both of the teams. In the regular season, nothing compares to that game. They go and do that. I don't know if it was, they were still reeling from that. You never know, and I don't think we'll hear any excuses from the OU side for the reason why that game against UCF was so close. But they survived, and they advance. And I think that they will be more prepared, more ready this go-around, going on the road. And I think that the big emphasis is on the defense. Because like I said, they didn't force a turnover against UCF. I want to see them do that against Kansas. I think they win this game, and I think they do it with the defense really showing out. It is time for my game of the week. A top-ranked matchup, number 8 Oregon traveling to number 13 Utah. And the importance of this game can't really be overstated for both of these teams. The winner keeps their college football playoff hopes alive. Both these teams have one loss. Winner keeps their playoff hopes alive. Losers go to Pac-12 purgatory. The Pac-12 is really good this year. Like, it is a really, really, really solid conference. And the thing is, only one of those teams is likely going to be the team that gets into the playoffs. And right now it's looking like Washington. But at any point, just like I just said, it could become survive and advance. But sometimes teams don't. So both these teams will be looking in to try and keep those hopes alive. Wait for the slip up from Washington. Take your chance. But first, you got to beat the other team here. And I'm really excited for this one because it's a very much a clash of style. And I feel like, not to oversimplify this game, but it feels like that's what it's going to come down to. What type of game is played? For Oregon, you're going on the road. And Utah has been fantastic at protecting home field in recent memory. That's what they do. And obviously, we just saw Oregon go on the road to Washington. Obviously, they didn't win. I think they did fine. Like, there's some mistakes that very obviously stick out. But ultimately, they handled being on the road in a big atmosphere like that fairly well. They got to do it again against Utah. They absolutely have to. So for me, like I said, I don't want to oversimplify it, but it feels like the style of this game will be decided early on, and the winner of this game can be decided early on as well. For Utah, they want this to be a slugfest. Low scoring, put their defense on the field and go make plays while establishing the run game. They want to be in control of the pace of this game, and Oregon wants the exact opposite of that. They want to force Utah in a position where they have to pass the ball, which is obviously not what they do. That's not their bread and butter this season. They don't have their starting quarterback. He's going to be out for the season. That's not what they do. So if Oregon can throw those first punches, get points on the board fast, we can see this game turn into one that makes Utah very uncomfortable very quickly. But on the other hand, I don't know how built for a slugfest Oregon is. And Utah is absolutely built for that. So for me, you mix home field advantage, and it's a big one in Utah. You mix that with them being able to try and put their style on this game. If Oregon starts off slow, I think that this game can absolutely be one for Utah that takes them up the next level when it comes to the tiers of college football and keeps their college football playoff hopes alive. All right, that's going to do it for me this week, week 9 of the college football season. Let me know who you think are going to win these 3 games, and if you have your eyes on any other games, let me know down below.